Let's talk about Buzzworthy Bumblebee. It's been an odd subline. You'd think with a name like that it'd be mostly bumblebees, but no, not really. I'd say it's been about 5% bumblebees. One of the interesting ones was the Origins Bumblebee, Hasbro's attempt to do the Episode 1 Cybertronian Bumblebee, little UFO kind of looking thing. I'd never picked it up. I thought it was interesting. Along those same lines, we have Origins Jazz. I just want to highlight the packaging because it is bright yellow. Bumblebee certainly is a main focus, sort of. And I appreciate the honeycomb on the inlet. But yeah, another Jazz. So this is Jazz if he was in space. Or Jizz if you're from Tatooine.
Like a panther. Yes.
He's quite a bit different than the Jazz we're used to. For size comparison, here he is with the Studio series. They share shoulder shapes, the arms are similar, the head is pretty much the same part. But there's a lot more different than I expected. Backpack. Let's get a close-up of that head. God, my kingdom for a Jazz head sculpt that's actually smiling. I do like that they darkened the blue on the visor. It's a little bit different. Obviously, the chest is a lot smaller because it doesn't have to be the roof of a car now. It just has to resemble it. Got gray shins and feet, as opposed to his bright silver of his Earth counterpart. And let's give you a look at the back. There's quite a bit more bulk on the back, because that's where most of the alt mode is. I think he wears it well. And you know what it means? Less translucent plastic. Less chance of breaking. This is a Jazz I actually enjoy playing with because I'm not worried I'm going to snap off a crucial part of it. Before we go into articulation, let's go accessories. He's got a version of his classic gun without all the silver. It's just solid black, which fits in his hand fine, as guns do. He's also got this extra harpoon grappling gun bit that I don't know what it does, but it pegs onto the front of his gun. Is his gun Batman's gun now? I don't know. This part can come off. It just plugs in. I don't know what the point of it is. Here, we can plug it into his hand. Maybe he's got a harpoon gun. Maybe he's got a grapple gun. We'll plug it in to his back for storage. It's a bit too long to conveniently hide. I'm going to spoil one vehicle mode feature. Is if you open his chest, there's a port right there, and you can plug the tiny piece right in there, and imagine he's got a chest burster gimmick. You can put a pin in that thought right there. It's also kind of hard to remove because you have to pinch. Kind of awkward to get these skinny yet somehow still fat fingers in there. Articulation is slightly different. You still got a ball jointed neck, which is good. The shoulders are universal, and they go out that far, but also now you have a small amount of butterfly motion. It is mostly for the transformation, but gives him just a little bit of his own kind of flair. The bicep swivel, the elbow bends forward, and it bends a tiny bit backwards. Not very much, but just enough to fit in snugly in the alt mode. The waist, nice. The hips are different sculpting, but they still do the thing that legs do. Can you get your leg that high? Unassisted? Back, out. The thigh swivel, mushroom pegged. Knee, it's about, I'd say 89, verging on 90 degrees. You do get an ankle pivot. Goes that far. And a toe bend. Mostly do a transformation, but you can use it a bit. You can bend his toe down. So overall, Jazz has a good range of posability. I think that butterfly is definitely useful for emoting. And overall, at least the robot mode is honestly more fun to play with because I'm not worried about breaking it. That Jazz stands on my shelf and worries me that he's just going to crumble. Thankfully, he's not gold plastic, but I have the same feeling. So, transformation, it's going to be a lot of backpack. We can start by folding up the chest, which is translucent plastic, but it's not on a translucent plastic hinge, so there's no worry about stress on it. But cover his face up. We're going to fold the hands in. His hands also have 5mm ports. I guess if you literally want you can blast it off if you were gimmicked, but you can just sort of vaguely recreate it. And his hand actually came out of the freaking railing. Please stop. There we go. So yeah, we'll plug that back into his chest. Like thus. Now fold his arms in. You're going to want to make sure that, I believe it's, I'm trying to remember which way they have to plug in. They have to plug in, things have to plug into them. So you want those little ports on the outside. Then come to this part of the leg. Want to fold out that additional piece. Fold the foot in. And if you remember the Combiner Wars aerial bots and things since then, you're going to want to do some smallification of the legs. But get the arms out of the way because they're actually going to pay into like rotate, hinge that, and the arm is going to tab in to the kneecap basically right there. You're not going to get a solid click, but it'll still go. You can do the same thing on the other side. It's a little bit tight to get these leg panels out. It's a little bit like pushing plastic past, but I don't know. I don't think it'll be too bad in the long term. Then we're going to come to the backpack. This is going to extend backwards to reveal an Autobot symbol, which he did have in his robot mode. I just kind of went by it. You know, that's the only slightly worrying bit, is moving these corners past, but they show no signs of damage so far. I've had this thing for a few months now. Oh, and the legs tab together. That might be a good thing. You want to fold that down until these two bits line up and go into the legs. And also, there I want to close into the doors. It's a little... There we go. Sort of. Yeah, everything's good. Time to lock the arms into place. There we go. Everything's snapping and cracking out. The doors can pop off their hinge easier than one might prefer, but it still comes together into this thing that is his alt mode. So this is a Cybertronian car, I guess? It's supposed to be a hover car, I imagine. But it's got a windshield. Instead of tires, it's just got a vague area. I guess the feet can pass for rocket boosters. And he sits on his own arms because the arms don't disappear. You can plug the gun back into the top, either straight forward or sort of sideways. You can plug it into the shoulders if you prefer, which is going to interfere in his hovering, or plug into the boosters and he probably won't be able to move very far because one of his engines will be clogged up. So there's a lot of shooting on Cybertron, so stick with gun on top. For a size comparison, now you can see how much changed when he came to Earth and adopted a Porsche. I am not transforming the other Jazz, nor am I transforming this. Just imagine this in these colors, if you can do that. Can you use your imagination? I think that this is worth a pickup. I was debating there for a second whether it's worth more than the Studio Series. If you're worried about the clear plastic, and you still want a good-looking G1-ish Jazz on your shelf, you might want to go this route. It's a little bit different in the robot mode, but not a whole lot different, really. So I think he can substitute for the Studio Series. You won't have to worry about breaking it. Thank you for watching. No, we're not doing that. We've already probably scarred them for life. We don't need to do more. Well, that does give me an idea for something. We'll have to come back to it at a later date. This is like Jazz if Jazz was Blur and just had no wheels. So, bye. Keep it weird. I might go off to a cantina now.